This episode is sponsored by Bookwalker. Welcome everybody to a psychological phenomena sometimes depicted in anime known as the pratfall effect. My name is Misty Sloshkringer, and you might not know this about me, but there's 3 things I'm fascinated by. Number 3, trains. Giant sturdy mechanical behemoths on rails. They're very impressive to me. Also, in my child home, we used to live near a train track, and every night on the dot of midnight, a train would pass, blow its whistle, and my subconscious would soak it in like a sponge. Now, whenever I hear a train whistle, I am overcome by this serene embrace of simpler times when I didn't have a care in the world. It's a very Pavlovian response, but let's keep that for another day. Number 2, cooking. I love to cook. It's a fun craft and I think it's a really neat skill to have. And the other thing I'm absolutely mesmerized by is the medical world. I never had the grades to become a doctor, nor to care for the pinpoint studies it requires, but the biological field always appealed to me a great deal, and that includes the psychological aspect of it as well. Now, this is a pretty windy introduction to simply lead and say that human psychology is quite interesting. Back to my initial scope of this video, I would like to tell you about the pratfall effect. If you've never heard of this before, I'm hoping you'll find this as fascinating as I do, and maybe you'll spot it out on your own from now on. The pratfall effect is both a psychological phenomena as well as a social phenomena, meaning you need at least 2 people for it to trigger. It's not a disease, more so of a social compliance we are all geared towards to certain degrees. The study first came into light when a social psychologist, Elliot Aronson, brought his attention to the phenomenon, and here's how it works. Making mistakes makes you likable. Asterisk. Let me develop on that. Not any kind of mistakes. You can't drive over children and expect worship of admiration. There's some contextual element to it. It has to be in a position where you already have some kind of advantage in. Let's take back my cooking example from earlier. If you make an everyday blunder, people will find it endearing because it humanizes you, and it makes the other people relate to you better. Let's say you have Gordon Ramsay in a kitchen, one of the greatest chefs of all time, and as he's about to slice a tomato, the knife slips and he drops it on the floor. It's not a big deal, but since we're talking about someone with such a high skill of cooking, it's not expected of him. You form a kinship of that moment. Now, same scenario, but you take an average Joe who never stepped in a kitchen before. He makes the same mistake, but you won't find it as endearing because you don't expect him to be good at it to begin with. That's what we call the pratfall effect. In the original study, Aronson made an experiment to solidify his point. You take a superior person, an average person, a superior person committing a pratfall, and an average person committing a pratfall. The study went on as the superior person would answer questions infallibly, but at the end of the tape recording, they would hit a cup of coffee and spill it on them. Meaningless blunder, but it takes them off that pedestal you subconsciously put them on due to their status, and it humanized them, as opposed to an average person messing up and them looking incompetent while on paper it's the same exact mistake. So what's the takeaway of this? Well, there's a few things. If you're generally considered intelligent and skilled in your area of expertise, small blunders do make you socially more attractive. Not that I would recommend doing them on purpose, but don't sweat them too much. Again, small, inconsequential mistakes. Furthermore, a lot of pratfall effect remains contextual. It all comes down to the empathy threshold of that person viewing you. If you're a girl and the other person is a misogynist guy, well, it still won't work in your favor. Lots of social factors can affect the outcome. Races, age, even sexual orientation to some extent. And finally, if the person is rated as average or mediocre, the same mistake might more likely negatively impact that perception people have on them. So where does anime fall in all this? Well, arguably like any medium, they're extension of our social lives, so I pass on the question to you. Do you know of any skilled characters in anime that are victims to the pratfall effect? Back to my cooking example, why does Soma from Food Wars comes off to be so likable? He's not flawless, he loses a bunch of battles, but his defeat adds to his charisma. So whenever he's testing a recipe or mixing like peanut butter with octopus, it comes off as a funny and endearing moment where you connect with the character even more. The idea of this video came to me whilst I was watching High School DD. A lot of characters are quite powerful. Rias herself comes off as flawless, so making a tiny mistake really makes her more likable. Or that's just me. If you want to know more about what I'm talking about, you guys should check out Bookwalker. Bookwalker is an online digital store that has an incredible selection of manga, e-books, or light novels to offer at ridiculously cheap prices. Right now until May 13, yeah, it's almost there, they're having an event about High School DD to celebrate the 4th season currently airing. You can get any of the mangas, and they each come with their individual smartphone wallpaper to deck out your looks. If you can't wait for more episodes to come out, I highly suggest you kick it into gear and move on to the manga, which is further ahead. Also, if you use the coupon code MISTY, you can get yourself $5 off of your next purchase. It's seriously like 75% off of $1. But if High School DD is not your style, feel free to browse through their humongous library. The coupon code MISTY applies to everything. Personally, I'm getting all my mangas on there. It doesn't crowd my shelves at home, and they're super quick access. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's slightly outside of the content I normally do, but I had this video itching in my mind and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys liked it as well. If you'd like me to do another psychological topic down the road, let's try to hit like whatever. What's the cool kid do now? 5,000 likes? Yeah, that seems reasonable. Otherwise, we shall close the abyss on this and never speak of it again. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great weekend and I'll catch you guys next time.
The hard times, I've been on the wrong side, I've been ashamed. So many memories, you know I'd like to change.